Carl here from Games, Brains and Headbanging Life, gbhblofficial.com for short. Take two, because the moment I started this already, my two cats came bursting into the room, running after each other. They seem to wait until I start recording before they do that, and I always forget to send them outside, to put them out this room, figuring they'll be fine this time, and then they're not, and they run around and cause a lot of noise in the background. Not that I'm short of background noise around here. As much as I want these videos to be unedited, I'm probably going to have to do the occasional snips here and there because I just happen to live by a fairly busy road and it's down a hill and on a bend. So police cars, ambulances, when they come down there, they come down at speed and with sirens screaming to warn everyone as they come around a corner. Plus buses. And a really noisy bus loves to go past, all the usual stuff. The joy of living in London, all the outskirts of London, but London still centric enough. What am I on about? Well, this is kind of the point. This is the point of this video and the point of these videos going forward, specifically this series. Of course, if you know our channel, we love a series. We love to focus on a specific subject and kind of just run with it, whether it be TV show stuff. They made What into a TV series where myself and Damon cover video game adaptations in series format as well as movie format as well. Getting Goosebumps, where me and Liam had covered every single episode of the Goosebumps 90s TV show. The We're Afraid of the Dark, which is at Are You Afraid of the Dark, talk through that we're currently doing as of this time of recording, and so much more alongside our usual album reviews, horror reviews, all the other content, Liam's content, controversial games, news items, you name it, all of that stuff is there. This is a new thing, and this is a little bit more random, like I said, a little bit more unscripted and designed just to be fun for myself, really, more than anything else. I've been wanting to do this since around the middle of 2024, but I just couldn't quite nail down what I was going to do. This is actually something that happens to me. It's kind of my creative process, if you want, which is basically I get an idea and I won't pin it down straight away and I won't run with it, because whenever that happens it tends to get loose and then I don't like it or I change my mind and something like that happens. What I tend to do is to sort of let it hang and see if it grows and see if it keeps coming back up on my mind. So if I have an idea, particularly if I'm on, say, night shifts, that's where I get all my ideas, like 2-3 in the morning, I won't do anything with it there. I'll see if it comes back up when I'm awake later in the day or in the few days' time if it's still there, and so on and so forth. This wasn't that. This is what was happening here, basically. I knew I wanted to do something like this, but I couldn't quite work out A, how, B, what was the point. And that's the thing. And then I realised I don't really think I need a point. And I think sometimes that's really... it's probably the thing that kind of stops people doing anything in the internet these days, isn't it? What's the point? Nobody cares and stuff like that. Excuse me, I'm going to stop occasionally and drink this. This is herbal tea. Pucker Nighttime Berry, which is currently my favourite. I've been drinking a lot of herbal teas this year. Kind of we'll get to New Year's resolutions, but not a New Year's resolution, but on that, I mean, it's the same bloody thing, isn't it? A goal of this year, cut down my caffeine intake and... So herbal teas are on, and I'm really getting on with them. I'm really, really enjoying it. See, this is what's going to happen in these videos as well. Tangents. But yeah, excuse me while I have a quick drink. Oh, it's hot. But it is nice. All right, what was I saying about nailing this down? So, the point. I couldn't really see the point, and I kind of realised recently, hence why I'm actually recording this and talking to the camera now, recently, that who cares if it's got a point, right? I mean, everything we do at GBHBL has no point when it comes down to it. How many people out there care about a written review of a band that, brings in 80 capacity people into venues when they play live? Very few. But the few people that do, that's what matters. And that I enjoy it, we enjoy it, the creativeness of getting to write, getting to record, getting to talk and all of this, that's all that matters. If it ends up reaching a lot of people or, results in something positive, that's even better. But for now, I think I'm going to I've settled on the thought process of I really want to do this. I really want to have a series that can be anything, because of course the website Games, Brains and Headbanging Life, we are quite linear, even though we're widely covering a lot of subjects. The three main pillars are the games, the brains, horror, and the headbanging, the metal side of things. That is our three pillars. Those are the three main areas we focus upon. But alongside that, of course, we have TV series reviews. But again, they're all weighted towards either horror or video games. We have our book reviews, but they're again weighted towards horror. We have other smaller categories that we don't do much in, top 10 lists, all of this stuff, but still surrounds the three pillars: the games, the brains, and the head banging. Same with the channel. Well, that's a bit more varied, and I'm certainly open to from the rest of the guys who are part of GBHBL. I'm always open to new ideas. I would hate to see that sort of like, oh, let's do a movie review on the YouTube channel for, I don't know, a Hollywood film that came out that wasn't horror. I can't think of any at the moment. Inside Out 2. That's new-ish, isn't it? Anyway, that one. I'd hate that. It wouldn't. If someone suggests that to me, I'd be no. We don't do that. It opens us up to too many different things. And hell, there's a bazillion channels doing reviews like that. Let's stick to our niche little horror nonsense. But a show that could be anything really, could be talking personally, an opportunity to talk about the inner workings of GBHBL, why it exists, the things that we do are behind the scenes, why I do it, why I enjoy it so much, the videos, my personal life, my job, and all the things that, fun things I do. I just want to sit there and talk about it. And it seems like that's all it needed to be. I needed to get to that point, and I did. I got to that point and was like, yeah, let's do this. So I've been building up to doing this first recording all this week. I am currently on night shifts. If you don't know, I work for London Underground, the tube system in the UK, in London, obviously the capital city. What I do is no secret. I am a station supervisor. We call them customer service supervisors these days, CSSs, but that's what it is. I'm not going to tell you exactly where I work, just in case you hate my guts and you want to come and see, cause me some bother. But it wouldn't be hard to find out that. But I work for London Underground, and I have done for coming up to 22 years, a number of different jobs. And this is my current one. Been doing this supervisor since 2016, when they forced me into the role against my will by taking my old job away and replacing it with this one. But that's a whole different subject. You've no doubt. If you're in London or from the UK, you've got an opinion on my job. Everybody does. I know it. I'm overpaid. I'm useless. I'm all this. The moment we go on strike for better conditions, we should all be lined up and shot and all that nonsense. I know it all. I don't care. 22 years in a job, I've been hearing it all. But and I'm not going to be pulling back the curtain so much. I'm not here to talk about London Underground work. I don't want to talk about work so much. However, it's going to sort of slip in because of the shift work. What I do is shift work. And I do, majority of the time, a specific 3 set of shifts, what we call earlies, lates, and nights. Earlies are 7 a.m, starts till 3 p.m, lates are 3 p.m. to 11 p.m, and nights are 11 p.m. till 7 p.m. That is what I'm on right now. We tend to do them in blocks, 7 in a row, which is what I'm on right now. As of the time of recording, I'm 3 down with 4 left, and not in the swing of them at all. Even though I do them I basically do them the equivalent of once a month, and never fully get used to them, and I've been doing them a very, very long time. But I'm on nights at the moment, which does afford me a certain level of freedom. Station closes about 1ish. And after that, most times, hopefully, contractors, people we come to do jobs and work and stuff like that, we have paperwork related to that. But say it's quiet night. Say no one's here, no one's coming in, no one's doing anything on the stations. I lock up. I don't go to sleep or anything. I'm just monitoring a freaking station for break-ins and trouble and people turning up at the door and needing stuff. All of this stuff. So I'm awake all night. But I can kind of do a few little bits here and there. And that's where some of the major site stuff comes from sometimes. Me at 3 a.m, writing a review, listening to some music, writing a review. Why not? That's what the time's there for. And what I'm talking about is that I've been using this time to kind of think about what I wanted to do here. And how it would go. Because as much as I want it to be unscripted, e.g., I don't be reading off anything. I want to just riff. Hence the tangents, hence the pauses, hence the nonsensical nature of it. I do apologise about that. It's how it's going to be in this specific one. If you want the more scripted stuff, you'll see me just, read out my album reviews and stuff like that. That's fine. I want to have a bit of fun with this aspect. But what I've ended up coming up with, regardless, is a kind of like talking point list. Now, I'm thinking going forward, ideally, there'll be like 3 major talking points of a particular video. Maybe sometimes there'll only be 1. Hell, it might even be titled that. I've come up with a title. You've seen it. If you clicked on the video, it's the state of things, episode, etc. and so on. I just, I really wanted a title. I love a title. And that just fit because I can kind of see it in 2 ways. And that I want this to be both positive and a negative series depending on what the subject is. So we've got the state of things, the state of things in a negative way, or the state of things. It's all just a tone of voice. The state of things, this episode number 1 is an introduction followed just by a few other little bits that I kind of just want to get out of the way before I really dive into it. I'm going to talk about the point. The point, there is none. I just want to have a little bit of fun. And what you can expect, I think I've explained that already. Anything you can expect me to be talking about, anything. It can be stuff related to the site. It could be random shit. You've just heard me briefly talk about my freaking job. I'm talking about herbal teas. I'm going to do a whole video on herbal teas where I rank all my favorites. Actually, it's a really good idea. I might do that in the future. But for now, I haven't drank enough of them. But I will give a massive shout out to some of Tesco's own brand ones. I'm testing the waters between some of the bigger brands. Twinings, I don't like most of what they did. I did a variety pack, didn't like them. Pucker seemed really, really good. And because I shop in Tesco's, do my big shop in Tesco's, I've been trying a couple of their brand ones. They've got a red berry one that gets a little bit sharp, like near the end, so I'm not entirely sure about the one. But the sleep one they do, I love that one. So, yeah, anything basically. That's the point. That's what you can expect. Sometimes I'm going to get a specific subject. Maybe it's something I've heard about. Maybe it's something going on in the world right now. I'm not going to be doing politics and stuff like that. How I've got no interest in getting involved in that. I do consider myself highly politicized to a certain way. I would consider myself left-wing. But also on that front, I think some of those conversations need to be had. I think people have forgotten how to talk, and I think that causes a lot of the problems. However, there's so much shit on the internet and all that, and it's so depressing out that I'm not going to get involved in that. I'm not going to be talking about real life, do you know what I mean? But like news issues. Right now, there's those devastating fires going on in California. What have I got to add there? Just my sympathies to everybody affected by it, and I generally hope they're able to deal with this problem soon enough. That's the sort of thing I offer. I can offer, but what I have no opinions beyond that. I'm not going to sit here and do things for views, shout and scream and create conspiracy theories and do the opposite way, looking for a row. I'm not looking for a row or anything like that. People are rude enough on the internet already, and I'm sure there'll be many ways people can diss these particular videos, as they often do with some of our other stuff. It's fine. I really don't need to get involved in stuff like that. So basically what you can expect is stuff related to the website, but more importantly, stuff related to me. And some of that is going to come from different angles too. One of the areas I'm really excited to do in these videos is to talk from a more mental health aspect. Over the last few years, I've really tried to get in tune with some of my own mental health issues. There was some period of discovery post-COVID where I kind of thought I came out of that right, mainly because I carried on working throughout it. Turns out I didn't come out right. I discovered that maybe about a year after things had got back to semi-normal, and it was a bit of an eye-opener for me. I'll probably talk about that in future, but there are elements still that I regularly deal with. I am, for the most part, a pretty easygoing, happy guy. He doesn't have much in the way of stresses in his life. I'm lucky for that, but they come, they go, of course. And I thank my lucky stars for that. But it doesn't mean I don't suffer from other issues. One of the biggest ones I'll talk about now briefly is imposter syndrome. It affects so much what I do related to GBHBL, in particular when it comes to dealing with bands, press, PR stuff, festivals, gigs, stuff like that. That's where I get it the most. It always feels like I don't belong. You'd think by now I'd have got rid of that, but I still have it. It's still all the time. We don't belong. Because who are we? Not only are we like a small website, very small, and what you missed there, you might have noticed a cut. I was drinking my tea, and now I'm back to this because right when I took that first mouthful of tea, what did I say would happen? A police car went screaming down that goddamn road. It's not like constant, but man, it's knowable when I'm doing videos. It always feels like they come on when doing videos. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, imposter syndrome. It's just, even though I know we offer value, we offer value to a certain type of music, certain type of band, certain level of band. We're not offering value to the likes of Slipknot, Avenged Sevenfold. The headliners are Download, Sleep Talk. What value can we offer them when everyone and their brother is covering them? They're getting all the mainstream metal press. But the bands that are doing the circuits, the pub circuits, lowdown and festivals, these bands, like, I know we make a little bit of a difference, and it really means a lot to me that we can do that. And it's one of the reasons why I love doing this. But even still, with all of that, it still creates a certain level of imposter syndrome. I've got no qualifications, yet I write. And that only comes from the fact that I've always loved writing. I was a kid, I used to write short horror stories. I'll get into that in another video at some point. I can actually remember some of the sort of topics. I'd love to have them in my hands. Of course, I got rid of them when I kind of grew out of that phase, but I wish I could read them now and sort of see what I was writing. But anyway, tangent aside, I've always loved writing. I consider myself pretty good at it. I think I've got better when I look at some of my early reviews on the site compared to now. I think I've got better. I think sometimes I can get a little lazy. 10 albums in a row that are death metal, it's very hard to come up with variations on the word brutal and savage and devastating. Thesauruses have proven to be quite a really useful source over the last couple of years, just to find clever and interesting ways to reword the aggression and nastiness of that side of things. But basically, no qualifications, nothing there. So the idea that anyone would go, like, I've been called a journalist, and even now I say it like that. Ugh, Cilla Blackett, a journalist. Sorry if I offend you with my attempt at a Scouse accent there, but yeah, like no. Thank you, I guess, but no, I don't see myself that way. I never bloody will. I don't want to really ever see myself that way. I'm just a guy who writes music reviews and horror reviews and game reviews and some extra stuff alongside a group of people, all my family members, extended family and co, who also enjoy writing. That's it. We can do it. You can do it. Oh, I just so happened through that have had to learn a shit ton along the way about website design and all these, and video editing, all of this stuff I had to learn as I went along. Early on, this website's always been an interesting one. Started off with wordpress.com, of course. This Does Retro was what it was originally called way back in the day, probably around 2017, if not a bit earlier than that. No, earlier than that actually. This Does Retro, and all it was a place for me to write retro video game reviews. I'm a child of the 32-bit era. Although my first consoles were the 8-bits and the 16-bits. If you're wondering what the fuck I'm talking about, bits, man, go ask your parents. I'm sure they'll know what I'm talking about. But the bits, 8-bits, so the NES, the NES, and the Master System were two in particular. The SNES was the 16-bit one, and the Mega Drive, aka the Genesis. But the 32-bit era was mine. It's where I was of a certain age to really appreciate the PlayStation, the Sega Saturn, and the 64-bit console, the Nintendo 64 as well. When did bits stop? I think bits stopped right around the GameCube. I remember the GameCube being called 128 bits, and maybe the PlayStation 2 was as well, but I think that's where it ended. I think the bit wars ended around there. What would have been next after that? Because we always seem to double it, right? So it would have been... Is it 256? 256, I think, in my head. I'm trying to do it maths quickly. Yeah. See, I've lost my words there. I'm just all over the place this morning. It is partially as well because I am quite tired, but I do really want to kind of get around 30 minutes under my belt here, hopefully, depending upon what I felt like was the case. I've forgotten what I was even talking about. I was then started talking about games and stuff like that, and bits and so on. Hey, as I said, unscripted. But imposter syndrome, it was the wider thing about imposter syndrome, wasn't it? Yeah, and just encouraging you if you want to ever write, do. You just got to learn a few things along the way. I've learned, as I said, went from WordPress.com, This Does Retro, and then eventually wanted to adapt that, looked at the WordPress.org, and the rest is history. Now, I run a pretty decent site. Very, very big because of pictures and stuff like that, and it's been around such a long time, but it's streamlined. Plugins are used smartly, and I've got a very good host that's affordable. Still costs a lot of bloody money, but affordable, and the sort of what I use, I think benefits the site overall. There's always room for improvement, but right now and for the past, actually probably the past 2 years, I am quite happy with how it's running. The YouTube side of things was fascinating. I don't remember when I really got involved in it. I remember there's a point where the channel existed, but not much went up, and then I was sort of looking into how to grow it. And the word consistency was the biggest thing. It was like consistency. Be consistent with your videos. Set yourself a schedule and all of that. And the rest is history. From that point onwards, a schedule has been set to the point now that schedule still exists. It's been adapted here and there. Things have come. Things have dropped off. We've experimented with numerous ideas. You know, look at flashbacks. They went to 100 episodes and ended. Track by tracks have temporarily ended, mainly because we don't have the time and impetus to put as much effort into those as we used to. YouTube's been streamlined quite nicely these days, and I think it's paid off. We've got a decent sort of subscriber base to being like album reviews, basically very review heavy, horror reviews, show reviews, and all the other stuff around it. And this is the extra things too. Alongside that, you know, I'm experimenting with snippets of music. I'm going to be doing some playlists soon, sort of big playlists of video game music, relaxing sort of playlists and things like that to hopefully encourage people to find peace, what I often find peace. Well, that's going to be the state of things that I look forward to talking about, which is video game music and its effect on me and how I use it to help me concentrate. Still, let me move on, because I'm going to get stuck on the same things. GBHBL in general, if you don't know, that's short for Games, Brains and a Headbanging Life. A title that was decided a long time ago, and if I had my day again, I probably wouldn't make it as long. But that being said, I do kind of love it because we are those things. And in them, it's the summation of everything that makes us. Everything that makes me. Games. I am a gamer. I have been since I was a kid. A very young age. Earliest memories are related mainly to the Master System, but like the predominant memories of my teenage years. I wasn't getting laid when I was a teenager. I was playing games. And that kind of stuck. There was a period in my 20s where late teens, early 20s, where it disappeared for a while. And I think I played World of Warcraft on PC occasionally, but I didn't have a console for a long time between the GameCube and the Xbox 360. Yeah, that was the biggest gap, and I didn't adopt the Xbox 360 to start. But since then, I've stayed a gamer. I am on Microsoft. I am mainly because of the achievements these days. I'm not particularly beholden to any console over another. I hate all of that. I hate exclusivities, and I hate the console wars. Grow up. They're all major corporations. What the hell are you thinking? Like what you like. Don't shout at someone else because they like something else. But I like achievements. I know PlayStation has trophies, but I adopted achievements quite early. And now, you know, I've got quite a lot, to put it that way. In fact, actually, I might as well use the opportunity to roll into the goal for 2025, gaming-wise. This kicked in just before the new year when I realised, I'm about 105,000 away from 1 million gamer score. That's pretty cool. And I was like, how long do you think it would take me to get to 1 million gamer score? And I was like, well, what if I said, do that over 2025, get to 1 million gamer score? And I think, yeah, that's possible. Kidding me? And then I broke it down, was like, okay, 105,000 gamer score. So like, there's 365 days in a year. You need to be basically getting 1,000 gamer score every 2 to 3 days. Okay, that's suddenly not so doable. I have a life, I have a job, I have a wife, I have friends, I have family, I've got commitments elsewhere. I go to gigs, I go out drinking, I do a lot of stuff. I don't actually spend a lot of time in front of my console. It tends to be in and around work more than anything else. Say I'm on a late shift, get back here at 11:30. I've got nothing to do. I'll spend 2 hours, 3 hours playing a game. That's my time. I just use it very, very well. But I've started off well, put it that way. I've started January by going, okay, let me give it all a massive boost by playing a ton of easy games, a ton of cheap achievement games. You know the type I'm talking about. And because of that, I've actually boosted my score to like 925,000 right about now. So about 75,000 left to reach that goal. But I'm excited to do that. I will update you as that goes along. Didn't want to do like a separate thing about it. It's not interesting enough. But yeah, the Million Gamers Score thing is a goal for 2025. Gamer, yeah, that's me. I am one. I think I'll probably always be one, barring something catastrophic. I lose my sight or I die. Those things that stop me doing it. I love gaming. So that's the games part of things. The brains. I said it's horror, but the brains are specific. It is, obviously, if you know, it's taken from The Return of the Living Dead, the 1985 zombie comedy horror movie. That is one of my all-time favourite horror movies. If not, it's probably number one. Not because of the quality, because there are quality movies, but just about how much it means to me. It scared the shit out of me as a kid, but I was fascinated by it, and that's continued to the date. I've had the pleasure of interviewing Linnea Quigley and about the movie as well, and that's like that was one of my like lifetime goals. That was an incredible thing. Might as well have wrapped up the site after that, but we haven't done. So that's the brains, the horror side of things, and I love horror. I love watching horror. I would say if I watched a movie for 7 days in a row, I watched a movie. 6 out of 7 of them will be a horror movie. Maybe the 7th will be something a bit different, but for the most part, horror. And I'll watch anything. You've got a camcorder and 20 quid, and you made a movie in your back garden, send it my way. I will give it a go. I'm not necessarily going to be kind about it, and I would say if there's anywhere I'm more critical, like where I'm more negative than anything else, it is with horror. It is with those reviews. And sometimes I've been extremely harsh, but I always think I explain myself well. I just find myself more judgmental on that side of things than anything else. And of course, head banging. It's metal. I've loved it since I was young. I've gone through many different phases. Really finding my feet in the new metal era, and then just exploring as we go on. There'll be a separate video, I think, delving into my past in music, but it connects me to my older brother, Brendan, of course. It connects me to Liam in some ways as well. It connects me to my wife. It's how we met, where we met. It connects me to many of my friends, people I know, and it connects me through all the new friends I've made over the last couple of years. The festivals I've met. I've gone to the festivals where I've met them and things like that. I love it. It is. God, it sounds so fucking cheesy to say this. It is like a lifestyle thing for me. I don't just listen to music. I don't just listen to metal. I live it. And all the genres. I'm such a fan of so many things. But I'm always constantly in awe of it. You'd think I'd get sick. All the writing I do and all the stuff I have to review. You'd think I'd get sick of it. I never freaking do. I'm always excited by a new release. I'm always excited by a band's new release. I'm always excited for the opportunity to interview. That's what I think my favourite thing these days is when it comes to GBHBL. I think interviewing is my favourite thing. I've grown so confident in it. Right? I can do it without notes now. I pretty much have a pro forma in my head that I follow off. And then the idea is that what they say will allow me to lead on. Of course, I still get the difficult one. Sometimes, obviously, when English isn't the first language, it results in some translation issues. And it can sometimes mean that things aren't understood, so the answers are more abrupt and less expansive. I also find that certain countries that I speak to, the people from them tend to have a more abrupt style as well and will be more direct, so you've got to be really careful about open-ended questions. Another video for the future, keep an eye out, will be interviewing. I want to talk to you about my style and some of the things I've learnt. If you ever want to do it and perhaps you're scared and not feeling confident, some of the things I've learnt, some of the tricks I learned early on to make it more comfortable for myself, to the point now where, while I still get a little nervous before interviewing, mainly just because I want it to go well and I have no idea what the other person is, and in a lot of cases I have to deal with surprises. So an interview will be arranged, but I get no details beyond, obviously, aside from the press packs or kits and stuff like that, and like an album, whatever, I won't necessarily know who I'm talking to or if there's multiple members. And the amount of times I've been okay, I've written questions on the basis that I'm talking to one person or think I'm talking to one person, and they're like, oh yeah, so-and-so's joining, and then a bassist comes in and a drummer comes in. Suddenly got 3 people and I don't really have questions prepared for them. They can answer them. But again, often in that case, when you have 3 or 4 people, bands, bit of advice for you. Don't all interview. You don't all need to. Pick your person or 2 people who can talk. If you're the quiet, shy one, if you're the bassist, I'm joking, bassist, but if you're the quiet, shy one, let them do all the work. Because in an interview, you're just either going to be sitting there, twiddling your thumbs as every question, even as much as I can try, unless I specify it to you, but I'm rarely going to do that because it's more of a general interview. You're going to be twiddling your thumbs because the people, other people are talking. Unless you're the songwriter, of course, then that changes things completely. But if you're just, you're just a cog in a machine, so to speak, let others more confident and more valuable. Valuable, that sounds mean, doesn't it? Not valuable, that's the wrong word. More akin to it, I don't know, more comfortable with it, let them do all the work. That's my advice anyway. But I will talk about some of my tricks, because I've got a couple, and I think they're really, really good, that have made it a much more comfortable experience for me, particularly from the Zoom side of things. In person, different story. That's all about environment more than anything else. And some of it will be really obvious, like be prepared. I know, how obvious does that sound? Oh, of course, who wouldn't be prepared? You'll be fucking surprised. Be prepared. If you're going to ask questions as well, make sure you've done your freaking research, and don't be an idiot. Don't go for gotchas. We'll get into that more in the future. That's not for now. We've already hit what we're at, 32 minutes. So I do want to kind of wrap this up. I am going to reflect briefly on GBHBL in 2024. It was a good year for us, but certainly not our best. It was a good year for contacts, for conversations and meeting people. From a website perspective, it was a good year for YouTube as well. From a website perspective, weak. And that's because of Google's algorithm change that happened in April, May 2024. I can't remember what they called or what it was called, the relevant content thing or whatever. But yeah, that one hurt us. It hurt us pretty bad. Dropped our traffic significantly. We've started to build it back up, but it was quite upsetting. I've never been a stat guy. Stats worry me. I can get a bit obsessive over them, so I've always tried to avoid it. But our stats have been consistent over the last couple of years, and I really love that consistency. It made me proud. So that when it got hit hard like that, we lost like 3/4. Yeah, I'd say about 3/4. Now we're back up to about half of what we were, but it's still not the same. And obviously with a website like ours, it's not like a traditional one where you might just go just to read random articles. You go there because you read one. It's why we've got a horrendous bounce rate. Because people read the article they wanted to read, the review, for example. They're not going from that to see a random horror movie written whatever, or a random video game movie written whatever, and so on. But yeah, that hurt us pretty bad. It upset me a lot of the time, made it all feel so pointless. But then I kind of, I take my head for a shit. I sit back and I say, well, this isn't what you were doing it for anyway. There's no money to be made here. We were making a decent amount with ad content, sponsored content, but that was just being poured back into the site anyway, because turns out running one website is not cheap. But yeah, that's about all we were getting. But there's no money to be made elsewhere. We don't charge for any aspect of the site. We don't charge to view it. We don't charge for reviews. How the fuck could you charge for reviews? Think about the bands we're reviewing. They can barely afford to fucking play. What we taking from them? How embarrassing that would be. I understand it might be important for other sites to do that. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just something we haven't done and won't do. I categorically state that we won't do. But yeah, I was really still pretty happy with it, mainly because of the video side of things and the YouTube side of things. It felt like we really did well in there. We hit some good numbers on social media, passed a couple of milestones. We've got a nice following across all the platforms, I think. And we just got more and more comfortable about certain things. Like I said, interviewing, I feel like I've nailed that more than ever. And 2024 was a lot of proof of that. But then I want to give a shout out to Liam, of course, who started his own set of videos on YouTube. Consistency is important, and he has done fantastically in that. But yeah, when I look at 2024, I'm happy overall, aside from the website statistics and views and content and what Google basically will show. So be it, is what it is. Gotten over a long time of go. It's just obviously quite important because it affected a whole host of people last year. But other than that, I ended up coming into 2025 and felt like almost like I needed to do something. Oh, we need to do something. We needed to change something. Well, we need to do this. We need to do that. And then it kind of hit me a couple of days into January where I was like, no, we don't. No, we don't. I got no interest in changing anything. There's a couple of minor small things related to certain articles and styles. And obviously, Dan, like Graphics, designed us a whole load new of thumbnails and covers and backgrounds, which we are now slowly utilizing over on the YouTube channel. But aside from that, we're just going to carry on this business as normal. We're happy. We're enjoying the shit out of it. Going to be gig reviews, going to be doing interviews, going to be doing music reviews, you name it, it's all there. With hopefully some fresh content on the YouTube channel, such as this. I've been going for 36 minutes. And I'm really, really pleased by that because I've been really enjoying this. But I'm still not done yet because I just want to sort of wrap up really with like what's going on right now. So, time of recording. It is Friday morning, Friday the 10th of January. By the time you see this, it will be Saturday 11th because the plan is to have these recorded Friday, Thursday or Friday, depending upon the subject, and then posted on Saturday. So I can have time to do some edits if I need, such as when a police car goes screaming by. Well, I forgot what I was saying there. Yeah, so what was I saying? Yeah, Friday. I'm tired. I need to go to bed. I'm going to wrap this up. But yeah, so today, later on today, Friday. So if you're watching this, which you are, yesterday, first interview of the year went live. It is with Ben, the vocalist of Waterlines. First interview that I did of 2025, and a band I'm a huge, huge fan of. Hey man, were you there at Bloodstock 2023? We talk about it in an interview. It was spectacular. And they've got big things planned this year. So if you haven't checked that out already, do check it out. Got some more interviews coming in the works, hopefully lined up with a few more planned. Can't bloody wait because I love interviewing. And next week, so the next video, episode 2, I'll be talking about it. But next week on Tuesday, whatever the date is. What would Tuesday be? Let me just check. Tuesday the 14th is my first show, gig of the year. I'm going to go see Insomnium again. I only saw them quite recently in 2023. But this is, of course, an album and full show. And it's taking place at Heaven in London. Looking forward to that first gig of the year. January's pretty quiet. February is when it all kicks off. But I'll talk more about that when it happens. Beyond that, that's it. The state of things. The state of me and my tired ass face. My herbal tea is empty, so I always think that's a good sign, right? If I finish a cup and the video's still going, then we know we did well. Listen, it's going to be a mess, but I don't really care. I just hope you enjoy it. And if you've got any thoughts on it, you know what to do. Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website where reviews, news and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at gbhbl. Just search for gbhbl and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.